Welcome to Industry Insiders, the show where we go behind the curtain with the founders, operators, and legal business leaders who are shaping their industries from the inside. I'm really excited for today's conversation. My guest has one of those careers that doesn't fit neatly into a single lane. And I think that's exactly what makes her worth paying close attention to. She started as a criminal prosecutor in Tallahassee, tried over 20 jury trials, including homicide cases, went on to lead litigation at the Cochran firm, built her own firm across 2 states, and somewhere in between became a nationally recognized legal influencer and the founder of a nonprofit that has awarded over 43,000 scholarships to underrepresented students. She is a true industry insider, someone who's worked the system, leads the system, and is actively rewriting what it looks like. Jessica Tehlirian, founder of Tehlirian Law Group. Welcome to Industry Insiders.
Well, thank you so much for the intro and the warm welcome and getting my name right.
So the name of this show is Industry Insiders, and you fit that because your story is a perfect example of what that actually means. You didn't enter the legal industry. You came up through the prosecution, ran litigation at one of the most recognized firms in the country, and then built your own. When you made the decision to go independent and built TLG, what was the specific thing that made you say, I need to build this differently?
I think the thing is, one of the reasons why I wanted to join with a nationally recognized firm was that at the time I had trouble bringing in clients. I had trouble with getting people to buy into my brand. But I think over the time when I was with that firm, I feel like I developed my own name, my own brand, where it wasn't really as much of a necessity. So I was grateful for the time that I had there, but I felt like it was kind of like time for my next step in my journey, which was kind of doing my own thing and having my own brand and going out with my own firm. I think it was more of that than anything, because at the end of the day, when you're working for someone else's firm, you're building up their brand, their vision, whatever changes they want to make, you kind of have to follow with that. Whereas if it's your own thing, you can kind of, whatever you want to do, you can basically do that. So that was kind of one of the big reasons why I wanted to switch over to my own brand.
Sure. So you started as a criminal prosecutor, trying everything from misdemeanors to homicide cases. That's a specific kind of pressure that most civil attorneys never experience. How much do you think that foundation shaped the way you approach personal injury litigation today, both tactically and in terms of how you show up for clients?
Yeah, so I think actually some of the best civil attorneys start off as criminal attorneys, whether they're prosecutors or public defenders, private defense attorneys. And I would say the reason is because when you do personal injury, the trials, if they happen, take so long to come about. If you do criminal law, for example, like my first Friday at the office, they had me doing a jury selection. I had never even seen that on TV. I didn't know what I was doing. The very next week, I had a bench trial, which was just judge alone trial. That Tuesday I had the judge alone trial. That Friday I had the jury trial that I had just picked the week before. Somehow I won both of them, but that's not something that would happen in civil law. You would have had so many more things that would happen before that. You wouldn't just jump right in and first chair 2 trials the very next week of being with the office. So you just get thrown into the fire. You'll come up on a trial calendar. In criminal law, you'll have maybe 30 positions, 50 positions that are possibly going to trial the very next week. And you kind of have to be ready for all of them. And then you find out, that Thursday that, hey, on Tuesday, these 2 are going. And then actually only one of them end up going, but you have to do all this prep right beforehand. And I think just being able to get ready in very short time frames and being able to make do with limited resources and everything else kind of prepares you for the civil realm. And I feel like you just get insight and different experiences that you just, quite frankly, may not ever have sometimes in the civil arena.
Sure. So at the Cochran firm in Jacksonville, you weren't just litigating, you were head of litigation, managing a team of attorneys while carrying your own caseload. That's a pretty early move into operator level leadership. What did leading through that environment teach you about building a legal team that you carry forward into how you've built your firm?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing it taught me was to make sure that you have the right people in position. I think sometimes you focus so much on the day to day that you kind of lose sight of if you hire and bring in good people, then you can just kind of get out their way when you train them right. And then when you find that a person doesn't fit well, after trying to kind of fix the situation, sometimes it's better to just sever that relationship, and maybe go about your way and you guys can still be cordial or friends or whatever it is. But sometimes everyone can't stay on your team from a professional sense. And so just kind of figuring out who fits right into that puzzle, I feel like was something I really learned with that firm.
Sure. Something really compelling about your story and very on brand for this show is that the Tehlirian Law Group now operates in two distinct worlds: personal injury and sports and entertainment law.
Mm-hmm.
Those don't typically live under one roof. So, how did that evolution happen? And how do you think the connective tissue between the two uh, sides of the firm, what kind of synergy is that?
Yes. So basically, I've been doing personal injury since 2018. I've been doing that for quite some time. And if you look around Atlanta, pretty much everyone is doing personal injury. It's very popular out here. I mean, they can't drive at all. I actually am staring at the freeway from my apartment view right now. And I'm sure I'll see a crash before this interview is over. There's just really bad driving out here. So I love personal injury. It's a pretty lucrative industry and everything. But I've always been interested in the sports and entertainment world. And growing up in Detroit, we have all the main teams. We're actually kind of good now in some of our sports. And then also, I've had a lot of friends and everything that were athletes or entertainers and everything, and just seeing how they were getting taken advantage of, just seeing how, I feel like they didn't have the proper resources. It kind of pushed me to be interested in the field. And a lot of times, honestly, I would be out in social settings and I would meet people that were, playing on whatever team or whatever entertainment industry, and they want me to represent them. And I'm like, well, if you were interested in auto accident representation, I can help you, but I can't help you with anything else. So I think kind of just like the market kind of pushed me to that of like continually coming across people that are like, can you be my attorney? Can you be my attorney? Can you be my attorney? And me being like, no. And so I think that kind of just pushed me to want to help them in that regard. And I think just the overall thing that my firm is really big on is communication. I think a lot of firms, they are really big on communicating to sign people up. And then once they're signed up, there's like no communication. But this is my work cell phone right here. Everyone has this number. This number is on my platforms and everything. So everyone can reach me directly. I do have people in place, but any one of my clients or prospective clients has the ability to right then and there send me a text message right then and there, call me right then and there, email me, and they don't have to go through a bunch of firewall to get to me. And I think that all my clients, whether they're personal injury or sports entertainment, appreciate how connected they can be to me if they would like.
Yeah, that kind of falls into the same theme of there's a lot of CEOs and founders that I've been interviewing these last few months, and a resounding theme seems to be the human touch versus reaching out. One of the things that technology today, I guess, allows us to do is to reach more people, but not reach more people in a meaningful way. So that's a theme that seems to be resonating and probably a reason for success. I would have to think one of the recipes.
I agree. I think the more we go into the AI, the more people just appreciate human connection, human touch, being able to actually talk to you. I had a company that was like, we can do AI phone calls to your clients. I'm like, my clients would fire me. They don't want to talk to. I don't want to talk to a robot. They definitely don't want to talk to a robot.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want that service. So I definitely
Yeah.
think that's important with AI growing.
It is. It is. And AI can be a fantastic tool for taking care of some mundane manual tasking, but
Right.
as far as contact with your clients, your customers, people appreciate personal that personal touch and like
Yeah.
you say, not talking with a machine.
Exactly.
So you're going to have to help me with this pronunciation. You founded Bees,
Lawyer based.
Lawyer Bays, which has been tagged on Instagram nearly 100,000 times, and you've built a following of hundreds of thousands across platforms. That's not just side content. You are also the national social media manager for the Cochran firm. So You clearly think about digital presence as something strategic.
Right.
As an industry insider, how do you think about influence as a business asset in the legal space and where most firms are still pretty resistant to it?
Yeah, so that was actually one of the reasons why I started that organization, Lawyer Base. I feel like at the time, I graduated law school in 2014, and it was kind of very frowned upon if you're an attorney, say you're at an event and you're just with your phone, like recording what's going on. It's kind of like, what are you doing?
Hmm.
This is not that type of profession. If you're posting on social media about your profession or otherwise, it was kind of like, we're attorneys, we're not supposed to be on the internet. And I started marketing and bringing in clients a lot of years back. And I feel like at that time, there weren't a lot of attorneys on social media. And especially one of the reasons why I wanted to have that brand was because it was very frowned upon to look like, to be an attorney, but then also have kind of like a social life or have a life that existed outside of being an attorney where you're not wearing suits, where you're, dressed more casually and everything. And I kind of wanted to show the dichotomy of like, you can still be like a 20 something year old, have a 20 something year old life, within reason, and then also have, a flourishing practice. And so that was kind of why I started that brand. But also, I think now it's kind of a disservice to your firm if you're not on social media because people want to look you up. People want to see like what you're about. Even if they meet you in real life, it's kind of like they want to go to the digital footprint to kind of see like, well, I kind of got a good vibe from them, but like, what is their social media like? Like, how are they? And I think with my page, it's like I'm a little different than some lawyers, but it's like my personal brand that some people don't like, and a lot of people do resonate with because some of it is flashy, some of it is showing off my accomplishments, but then I volunteer a lot. I have a lot of that going on.
Hmm.
Like yesterday, I went to go feed homeless youth. Tomorrow, I'm going to a career fair at the law school. So like I do that pretty consistently just the entire year, and I bring a lot of my friends and colleagues to that. So there's different factors to me, and I feel like the ones that are drawn to me are like, oh, I like all these different facets. Someone may not like some of the facets, and I might not be for them, but I feel like this is a time where it's like it's better to have something that shows your identity and kind of shows your personal brand than just being like so boring because you want to be palatable to every single person. Because there's really no great company that's made for every single person. Like some people are just not gonna like Chick-fil-A. I don't eat chicken, so I mean I'm vegetarian. I'm not gonna really go to Chick-fil-A that much, but there's a lot of
Hmm.
people that like it. There's a lot of people that like that they're very big on Christian values. So, but
Hmm.
every single person is not going to like every single thing. And I think for me, it's like just finding what my specific brand is. And I think for firms, it's good to have your specific brand. What do you focus on? What are you big on that's going to draw people in? Even if you don't go to your personal life, we're a family law firm that specializes in divorced dads. Like this is our thing. We really care about dads. Like whatever it is, but just being that instead of just trying to like we want every single thing, like basically door law.
So we're kind of morphing into working with people that you like to work with.
Right,
That's
exactly.
yeah. I just talked with somebody yesterday, and she has a very opinionated person, and she has this set of people that she'll work with, and she's made it a point. She says, I don't have to work with everybody. I just want to work with the people I want to work with. And I think that the our technology today is kind of allowing that to happen, or at
Right.
least making it easier for that to happen. And people want to work with like-minded individuals. I mean, that's just human nature. And
For
we can do that now. We have that ability to find that out about people if we really choose to do so.
agreed.
Yeah. So you founded the Tehlirian Foundation to mentor underrepresented students and have awarded over 43,000 scholarships in the last year alone. That's a real commitment, not a logo on a website. What's the mission driving that? And how do you see it evolving as your firm grows?
Yes, so as far as my foundation is concerned, as I kind of alluded to earlier, volunteering and mentorship is kind of what drives me more than making money. And honestly, I would say it's even more important to me than my legal career. And it kind of goes hand in hand with my faith. And I feel like there's so many people right now, especially with our economy, that are struggling to even pay for groceries, food, water, shelter. And there's so many brilliant potential future legal minds that want to be in this industry that something so small as like a book or a laptop or, whatever it is could be what could stop them from getting a great grade on that test or having to drop out of law school. And so I try to, whenever I can, help out with my time, resources, or money to the law schools when asked, or to students when asked, or like through my own things, like with the scholarship branch. That's my own event that I have with another lawyer. I'm actually going to be doing it again this year in October or September. We're trying to pick an exact date. But we're doing it again this year. And the students are just so thankful because, again, it's just so hard to get by nowadays. And so just sometimes the extra boost can just be everything. But for me, I feel like I find so much fulfillment in that. And I always walk away, like when I did the feeding the homeless youth yesterday, like I walk away so fulfilled that it makes me want to go even harder in my practice so that I can have even more money to give back and everything like that. And I try to just encourage like my friends or my family. Like yesterday, I was going and I brought my sister with me. And a lot of times when I'm going to these things, like I'll try to bring a friend or a family member, or I get all my friends like, you got to give me some money for this, or whatever else it is. And I feel like they really appreciate even being able to be involved, because sometimes there's a lot of us that have the resources but just don't know where to go to pour into people. And when I get the attorneys and I'm like, hey, do you want to speak here? They're all so excited. If I'm like, hey, there's a panel, hey, there's a this, hey, we need 500. They're like, sign me up. Like, here's the check. I can come tomorrow, whatever it is. So I think for me, I get so much fulfillment out of it. I know there's a need. I feel called based on my faith to do it. And I feel like there's a lot of people, especially from underrepresented populations, that don't know any attorneys, that have never spoken to any attorneys, possibly until they get to law school. But even then, they're like, they feel a disconnect because they may look more like you than like me. So just being someone that looks more like them, that they can like resonate with, I feel like is very important to me.
Yeah, very noble causes for sure.
Thank you.
Your firm is built around treating clients as if they are family and developing strategy collaboratively with them. That language is deliberate. It's not stock copy. What does that actually look like operationally at TLG, and how do you keep that standard real as the firm expands?
I think the biggest thing is just treating every client um, like you would if it was your case, and making sure that you don't just value this person over here that has $1 million policy and this one has a 25K policy, and you're like, this one wants to talk to me, but they're 25K. I don't, I'm not going to talk to them because at the end of the day, this is a person, and that money that they're getting, that person may need it even more. That person may have, you don't even know what they have going on. And even if they got $2,000, that could have been the thing that could have kept their lights on. And even still, it's like, from a business perspective, aside from just being a good person and doing the right thing by your clients, sometimes those small cases come back and are like, I had this small case, no one even cared about it. I got dropped by my old lawyer. You kept it going. You got a good result for me. It wasn't much, but I appreciate that you're with me every step along the way. And then now there's some tragedy that comes in their family, and they're like, this is who you need to go with. So sometimes that happens. Like, there's a lot of full circle moments that'll come around the longer you're practicing. Like, this is my 12th year. So a lot of times, like, my clients have come back for themselves, for their family members, for their loved ones. And sometimes a small case turns into a really big case. And if you just kind of write people off like, oh, your case is stupid, your case is small. I've had people that didn't even have a case because there was no policy, or, they ended up being at fault, but they just appreciated that I explained things to them because they didn't even understand what was going on. Because maybe another lawyer, once they heard, oh, there's no coverage, they're like, well, no coverage, bye, kind of just explain the process to them, would come back years later like, hey, my sister, hey, my cousin, hey, whatever. And so just treating humans like humans, and understanding that a lot of people don't understand the legal landscape. And so kind of just breaking it down for them in ways that they can understand. I think people are very okay with like the fact that PI does take a long time. Overall, legal services take a long time, but you have to explain it to them. Because if you don't, they'll be 3 days into treating and be like, where's my money? There is no money. You're still treating, and just kind of like letting them understand how the process works, what to expect. People can deal with it when they know like, hey, this is going to be a XYZ amount of time process. Or, hey, I know I told you it might take this amount of time, but actually we need a little bit more time. Just being upfront with them, just being transparent, I think is what really matters to clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that in most people's eyes, the legal process is like a black hole. I mean,
Yeah,
not even information can escape it. So
exactly.
us lay people have no idea what the heck is going on. Take the time and explain it is is monumental. Trust for sure. Yeah.
for sure.
So you've built across personal injury, entertainment law, a cultural brand, and a nonprofit across 2 states with a team. Thinking short to midterm, what's what's the bet you're most focused on right now as an industry insider who's clearly playing a longer game? And what are the signals you're watching to know you're moving in the right direction?
Yes, I have a few things that I want to work on that I would feel comfortable speaking about.
Mhm.
So, first is that one of the big things I want to grow out is my sports and entertainment section. In respect to that, I need to get people that are agents within the respective leagues. So, I actually have a guy right now that I think I'm going to be bringing on who's an agent with the NFL. I need somebody with that's an agent with the NBA and then also with the WNBA to start because that'll allow us to actually negotiate their league contracts because right now you can't do that without actually being an agent with those leagues. So that's something I want to do first and foremost. I should hopefully have that wrapped up with a guy that's an NFL agent. I should have that hopefully done within the next couple of weeks so that we can actually negotiate league contracts aside from like endorsement deals, brand deals, and things like that. Aside from that, one of the biggest things I did with not with the Cochran firm, but the firm I was with, technically we were what became the Cochran firm, Jacksonville, but we stayed together thereafter. I kind of helped them expand from like one office in one state to we had around 7 or 8 offices and I think 5 or 6 states and also in Ghana. So I want to basically start doing that again for myself and expanding into different states, both on the personal injury front as well as in the sports and entertainment front. Aside from that, I'm just continuing to be able to bring in attorneys and also like I want to have specific internships laid out because I get requested from students all the time that they want to intern
Mhm.
with me. And this is not necessarily to help my firm, but more so just to have like something for them because a lot of them are really interested in sports entertainment. I didn't even know they were, but a lot of them are very interested in that. So ideally having like a sports entertainment internship opened up where I can have a good amount of interns coming in. I had one last semester, but I want to take multiple on and just continue to do that in different states. Aside from that, I want to continue with my foundation and I want to be able to have more and more events, give out more and more. I do quite a bit of events. Like I did like around 20 events last year, but even more, even bigger scale, give out even more money. Hopefully this year we typically give out $20,000 at the event, but hopefully we can get to 50,000 this year at the event. Aside from that, I mentor a lot of people, but I want to mentor even more people. And I think I volunteer mostly in the legal and educational space, but I want to do things more outside of that range as well because I feel like, again, just going back to my faith, I feel like that's really important to me to, as much as I'm receiving, to kind of be giving as much of that back as I can, both with time and also with money and resources, but just overall continuing to move in a path that I feel like is something that would be in line with my faith and also where I can help myself, but also put other people in a good position to be more successful.
It almost sounds like you need to clone yourself in order to make all these things happen.
I know,
That's
right?
yeah, that's an ambitious schedule, but good luck with that.
Thank you.
So we're going to take a little step back here,
Sure.
take a little back into the history realm. So you studied at Oxford and you hold an MBA alongside your JD. That's a specific combination. How do you actually draw on that business and global thinking lens day to day as you're running the firm?
Thank you. So I think with the MBA, instead of it being like specifically like, some people go get an MBA specifically to get MBA tailored jobs. I think
Mhm.
for me, I just wanted mindset more so than anything. And I think that was something that was important to me. And I feel like it helped me with like concepts of like scaling, concepts of like building your firm up, dealing with staff, just human capital overall, building a brand and everything. I think those are like foundational principles that I kind of either learned or honed in on while being in my MBA program and also like the time I was there in Oxford as well.
Sure. Well, thank you, Jessica. This has been a very interesting and enlightening
Thank you
conversation.
so much. I had such a good time with you.
Yeah, I mean your background is not one that has been traveled too often, and um, definitely unique to our show here. And I think the audience is going to find this really, really exciting to keep track of and keep track of your success going forward.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Rick. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that wraps up today's recording. Until next time, for Industry Insiders, my name is Rick, and we will see you again.